So I believe the last entry I made was informing everyone that I'd had numerous bloods taken and I was waiting on the result. Um, so I had the CT scan done and I had the consultation and I received my results. So in the build up to that, I'll just describe my mental state, which was an interesting one. Um, the week running up to my CT scan, I was in a permanent state of anxiety dash anger, and I kind of lived in like my own little fortified state of defense where I didn't reveal too much about what was going on inside my head, because if I did, damn explosion, hell, emotions and everything everywhere, which I was keeping tightly packed in for the sake of my own protection. I actually had people ask me to let them in, and I just was like, no, because if I let you in, I will reveal feelings to myself which I don't want to accept because I'm hoping they're not permanent. And if I let you in, I will accept them, and there will be hell. um, you will witness a side of me that I'm desperately trying to hide from myself. And I had family and loved ones really struggling with that because I closed off to them basically, completely. But I had to, for the sake of my own sanity, I had to close off to them. I had this massive wait coming up for more tests and this final clinic visit, and I went into self-protection mode. Um, because as much as people wanted to help, I wasn't going to make myself vulnerable for that brief moment of understanding. I couldn't. For which they were extremely understanding, and which I'm extremely grateful for. Because I shut so many people out for that. I put myself into isolation, basically. I had to. And I still kind of am, but not on such an intensive level. It's more, I'm now in massive self-care mode, but not as intensively isolating people. So basically, I had the CT scan. The CT scan essentially involved me lying on having a cannula put into my arm, being lying down on a platform and basically being scanned by this weird kind of donut thing, which I went in and out of. And they put a very, very, very light dose of, unless I'm mistaken, radiation into my system, which was really weird because that makes you feel like you're really warming up from the inside and makes you feel like you're peeing yourself because it goes down the artery in your right inner thigh. And when that warms up, it feels like you've peed yourself, and it's one of the weirdest feelings around. I've actually had that circulation just on a normal casual day. And I remember having it years ago. I was like, what the hell? Did I just wet myself? And then it's just the blood flow going through your leg. It just happens to feel particularly warm at random moments. And sorry, things happening next door and outside. The cat was aware of it, so I became aware of it. So I had the CT scan, and the build up to the CT scan, and then the follow up clinic appointment the next day. I was in a very, very bad way because I felt like I was preparing for my defenses to come down, and the anger was starting to leak out. The reason I was isolating myself and the reason I was protecting other people from my attitude started to emerge. And it was the anger, and it was boiling out of me like lava. And I can't even begin to describe. I would like to take a moment here to thank my family and the people who supported me during this time, because my family saw the brunt of a lot of my attitude. I wasn't angry at them, I just had an angry tone. They would ask me something, they would say something, or we'd be in a general discussion, and I would have fury pour out of me in this tone. And there was a point where I kind of cringed thinking back to it, because I think there was a point where my mum asked me something several times, and I literally turned. She was asking a question in general several times. And I turned to her and I said, I have answered this 5 fucking times. You're not hearing me. And this is a toned down version of how I was saying it. And I was really restrained because she kept asking me this question, bless her, out of pure innocence. And I was like, I've already told you so many times. And then kind of pull it back because I was like, shit, no, don't attack, don't attack. It was fucking horrible. Absolutely horrible. I'm laughing about it because it's just, you know, when a situation is that uncomfortable, you have to laugh. But yeah, just this fury boiling up inside me. Mainly because of it was at life. You know, I was angry at life. You fucked me over one time, now you're fucking me over again. And so I just felt this anger of, fine, let's just deal with this, get over it, blah, blah, blah. So I felt this anger bubbling up. Went to do my clinic visit, which, yeah, basically went to the clinic the next day. Didn't sleep a wink the night before. Went to the clinic visit. And I'm in this completely neutral, dull state with peaks of anger as I prepare to be told the worst. I have to be prepared to be told the worst because when I don't get told the worst, I'm fine. So I'm preparing to hear the worst, and I'm just in this massive protective fort, ready for anything. And then I see my old doctor. This was the doctor who diagnosed me when I first fell ill with the kidney failure. This was the doctor who essentially saved my life because he gave me the pills I needed to slow the process of my failing kidneys, and then kind of carried me the rest of the way, giving me more and more medication to slow down symptoms and stuff, and then finally said, okay, we need a transplant now. And he'd witnessed me through absolutely everything. And he was incredible. And I hadn't seen him in like a year, over a year or something, because I think he either didn't see me anymore or he'd moved department or something like that. And I missed seeing him. He was a really good doctor, really took a lot of care of me. And then I saw him. I was like, oh, come on. For 2 reasons. First off, I was seeing him at the same time that I was receiving a new diagnosis for another organ in my body. And it was almost, my brain just went, it was almost like a bad omen. And I felt really bad thinking that, but it's because I saw him and just thought, I've started the journey again. And the doctor who I'm seeing now, the specialist who I'm seeing now, he's very much like my previous doctor. He's got an intense, passionate interest in his patients and stuff, an intense, passionate interest in getting them well again and finding out what's wrong with them and trying to help them. And it was like a transfer of psyche from seeing my old doctor to seeing my new doctor. And on second, I wanted to go and say hello. I really did. But I couldn't bring myself to do it because I could feel the anger. I could feel the frustration inside me. And I knew that if he saw me, he would greet me really happily. And he'd just be greeted by this really sullen, angry woman. And I wouldn't have greeted him the way I wanted to. And there was a good chance I would have burst into tears. I don't want to do that. Not out in public, in front of the patients. I don't want to do that. And so I had a book with me and I kind of kept my head down. I didn't say anything. I thought I'll say hi if he says hi to me, but I can't. I just can't. And then he left, and it was just a shame. I wish I could have said hi, but I couldn't, not in the state I was in. So finally my appointment came up and I went to see the doctor. The CT scan results hadn't come through yet, so he couldn't give me anything with that. He told me that with the blood tests and everything, the majority of them were negative, absolutely fine, except for one, which was a virus which I'm reluctant to say on this video because you kind of say the word, people assume certain things, and it's not like that. But it's a new type of this virus which has recently come to light, and they don't know very much about it. And I think it's one of those viruses which pretty much anyone and everyone can get. It's not contagious. It's just people get hit by viruses, bacteria, and infections all the time and might not realize that they have it, and it just kind of washes out of their system. But because I have a low immune system, it kicks me down and it keeps me down, and it's possible that it lingers and manifests into something bigger. So I've got that, and I've been told it is possible that it's now washed out of my system, but they caught the tail end of it, which is why they got the test results. Or it's possible it's still in there, potentially growing. They don't know. And so they're sending me to a specialist. And they said to me, in the meantime, just take it easy, look after yourself, blah, 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 the usual stuff. And that's when I burst into tears, because I was exhausted. I'd spent the last 2 weeks in a massive state of anxiety, depression, and a lot of anger, a lot of anger. And I was exhausted. And I just snapped and I just cried, because it felt like I was going through the whole kidney failure thing. You have an issue with the kidneys. We're not sure what it is. We have to, supervise you, monitor you, blah, 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 blah. You have to come back in 2 weeks, etc., so we can check you out some more. It's the same bullshit. And it's exhausting. So yeah, so very, very much a PTSD moment there. However, now I know what I have, it's easier to deal with. Now I know what I have, I understand why I feel some of the things I do. That said, it might have also washed out of my system. Therefore, the exhaustion which I feel, the fatigue I feel, could either be symptomatic of the virus or the depression. And this is frustrating for me, because I like to be an active person. I like to do things. I like to go out. I like to be active. I like to walk everywhere. I would love to do a marathon if I could, but I can't, because I'm constantly knackered and because I get out of breath so easily. Potentially symptomatic to the virus, potentially symptomatic to my depression. I do not know. So I'm really hoping that once I start getting treatment for whatever it is that has been doing this thing to me, I'll get back on track and I can actually start doing the things I want to do. So, stage 2, my mental state. I have been putting myself under a ridiculous amount of pressure, because I'm an extremely goal-orientated, extremely ambitious woman, and if I could, I would have had a bunch of ideas where I would have made my own business and stuff. I like to push forward, constantly push forward. I'm an ambitious person. It's what makes me, it's what fuels me. And of late, for I don't know how long now, I've been desperately seeking a goal, a purpose, a point. And I've been desperately struggling because I don't know what that could be. And I've been trying to do that. I underwent so many different courses when I worked in an office. So many different courses for progression. And I've tried applying those and it's just not worked for me. And that's led to more frustration. What do I want to do? What angle am I coming from? And it's been desperately frustrating, and another cause for my depression. I wrote down everything on my notebook on my phone, and I'm suddenly thinking, pooh, have I just gone completely off topic here? No, there we go. So I have been putting myself under a ridiculous amount of pressure to find a goal, to find a purpose, to make myself useful. And it's gotten to the point where it's actually affected my sleep, and I've had to sleep on the sofa because my brain won't stop buzzing. And if I'm on the sofa, I'm relaxed, I'm happy, and I'll go to sleep. So they've not been the best night's sleeps, but my head has been clearer. And then on discussion with my therapist, things in my head began to clear and make more sense. And I thought, the population is made up of some very goal-orientated people. It's what pushes us. It's what makes us strive. It's what makes us live rather than just survive. To have a goal. This is actually a very interesting topic, which I might actually write about because it got me thinking a lot, and I'd like to know other people's opinions on it. How important is it to have a goal? How important is it to have something to strive towards? How important is it to feel useful? It's a case of our ancestors used to, you'd have to survive. The goal was to hunt for meat. The goal was to keep the family going, to give them water, to general survival instincts. How important is that in this day and age? So I realized that I was putting myself under a redonkulous amount of pressure because of this. And so I thought, how about we try another tactic? In an extremely non-negative and slightly suicidal way, slightly non-suicidal way, I do apologize, give up. Just stop. Stop looking for that goal. Stop looking for that intense need for motivation. Stop looking for that light at the end of the tunnel that you need to run towards constantly. Stop forcibly driving yourself to that destination and just enjoy the view. Just relax. Enjoy that which is happening around you. Be in the moment. So I decided to do this, and it was like pulling out a wisdom tooth, pulling out a very, very well lodged in wisdom tooth. Because it's like rewiring your entire brain, your entire mindset. But I did that. I decided I'm not going to have a goal. I'm just going to stop. And after I did that, I fell asleep, had some really weird nightmares. And I woke up. I felt clearer and freer than I have done in a really, really long time. I felt like my cage had been opened and I was flying like a bird. It was extraordinary. The amount of pressure I'd been putting on myself was lifted, and I could just soar. Since that's happened, I've now been doing the things which have felt right to me. I've been following what my gut tells me to do. I've been following my instincts and just flowing with things. And it's helped me in my job hunt. I'm now a little more focused as to what it is that I'd like to look for job-wise, but I'm not pushing it. I'm just taking it easy, taking it step by step by step. On top of that, I've had a massive creative idea, which I could potentially turn into a business. And I've just been enjoying that. Just putting the ideas together, gently putting together boards and drawing boards and making notes and the like, combining it with another thing I've been doing. I've been training myself to do coding as a way of trying to keep my brain occupied. And I'm going to see if I can put the two ideas together. And I cleaned the house. I tidied the house from top to bottom, and that now feels a hell of a lot clearer, a hell of a lot smoother, which is much. I kind of walk in and go, it's all nice now. I've just been doing things which make sense at the moment, and they in turn have been very, very slowly opening doors for me here and there. Very slowly, but they do happen. Just gotta be patient. And life just makes more sense now. And today I went out and I went for a walk in the field and forest area of my local haunts where I used to go when I used to dog walk. And it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The weather's shocking. It's absolutely horrendous outside, but that's the kind of weather that feeds the forests and the countryside and make them just look extraordinary. And it's so cleansing. It's so nice. I'm still exhausted. I had to make myself get up at 10 o'clock this morning because I couldn't get myself out of bed. I was so tired. And I did a light bit of yoga. I felt exhausted after that. But I kept going, went out for a walk, felt tired after that, but just kept going, step by step by step. So by removing the things that put an immense amount of pressure on me, moving them away, saying no to them, I don't need to do this, I've felt so much freer. And now I'm doing the things that correspond to what works for me and will work in the long run. One of the main things I learned in life is, if you really think about it, the only person putting pressure on yourself is you. If you really think about it, the things that go on in life, think to yourself, would anything really severe happen if I said no to one particular thing or two particular things? Because you do not have time to do them. You do not have time, you do not have mental space, you cannot physically do them, but you're forcing yourself to do them for the sake of other people. Can you say no? And if you can say no, why don't you say no? And just take away that pressure. And the difference it makes is quite astounding. I've now rambled on for about 20 minutes. I think I need to stop. I'm really hoping that anyone out there finds this useful, whether it's knowing about my health updates, my head state, or in how I am now dealing with things. That would be tremendous. I still have the occasional self-doubt here and there as to whether I should post these or not, but I like to think they're helpful somewhere. Anyway, I'm heading off now. Here's the next video where I will hopefully, be more awake. Peace out.